Welcome back to the next section of session 10. Now, here we'll be looking at individual homeopathic remedies which have a big affinity to the male reproductive system. The first such medicine that we'll be looking at is Agnus castus. Now, the name itself, Agnus, according to Dioscorides, he says that A meaning no and gonos meaning progeny. So that means it's a plant that you use so that the person does not produce any progeny or does not produce any children. And castus in Latin means purity, like innocent, purity. So this medicine is something which is going to have a big affinity to libido, sexual power, etc. So the source for this is Vitex Agnus castus, which as naturopaths, all of you would be very, very familiar with. The common names of this is the chaste tree or the monk's pepper. And that's because in the monasteries they used to grind the seeds and use it as a condiment in their food so that the libido of the monks would be reduced. And the Vitex belongs to the family Lamiaceae and the order Lamiales. And the homeopathic medicine is made from the berries. The tincture of the berries is used as the source for the homeopathic medicine. Herbal uses. Now, its use as an aphrodisiac. That means it does not produce any sexual excitement. Hence its common name chaste tree, which we have already seen. Now Dioscorides, he states that it promotes menstruation and the secretion of milk. It's also used as a nutrition enhancer as the plant promotes digestion. The berries were used traditionally as a tonic for the reproductive system. It was used to normalize the menstrual cycle, relieve breast pain and swelling associated with premenstrual syndrome. So therefore, it's predominantly, the herbal use itself has been predominantly used for menstrual irregularities and female fertility. It's most probably got the hypothalamic pituitary ovary axis regulation. And it also acts as an ovarian stimulant, as a progesterogenic, and as a masculine anaphrodisiac. That means it reduces the male libido. Now, what about the pharmacology? It contains volatile oils, flavonoids, glycosides, agneside, diterpenes, and rotendifuran. It's also got one of the flavonoids is castin, which is said to be also anti-neoplastic. It's a pituitary adaptogen in that it increases melanin secretion and it enhances dopamine levels and therefore inhibits the anterior pituitary function. It's also a dopaminergic, so that's exactly what I've just said. It's a pituitary adaptogen by increasing the melatonin secretion and enhancing the dopamine levels. It also has an adaptogen action on progesterone and estrogen. So what it does over here when we talk about an adaptogen here is that it decreases the prolactin and FSH levels. FSH is the follicle stimulating hormone levels, and it increases the LH or luteinizing hormone levels. It inhibits also estrogen sensitive breast carcinoma cells. That means the breast cancer carcinoma cell lines and also the prostate carcinoma cell lines. going on to the human pathogenetic trials. The first trial was done by Hahnemann. It was done on himself and with 6 others. Method is unknown, and clinical, we also have a lot of folklore or a lot of toxicological effects of the medicine, and we also have clinical observations by homeopaths like Farrington, Merzger and Rijlan. So let's go on to see the theme of this. According to Vitulkas, he says that Agnus castus is indicated in today's world because there's a lot of abuse among the young people. They indulge in sexual excesses, use of psychoactive drugs, because they have a loss of sleep, sporadic, not eat well, eat fast foods. So basically the lifestyle of a young person. He says, since this has increased in today's society, Agnus castus is one of the remedies that would be indicated, because these people who don't live healthy lifestyles, these people who have a very high, they want or crave a high excitable pace of life, and this high excitable lifestyle is very intense, and it's in a very short couple of years. They just want excitement after excitement, and when you go on with not eating properly, indulging in a lot of sex and drugs, and losing sleep, as a result of this, what would happen is the patient would become pale, anemic, low in energy. They would become, mental faculties go down, become absent-minded, are not able to concentrate even on their studies, their daily tasks, and they would also, because of this whole picture, they would also suffer from sexual impotency. And because of this whole pervading weakness, they may convince themselves that they are about to have a nervous breakdown, or that their vital organs are about to collapse. And this is the picture that Vitulkas paints of Agnus castus. Now, according to some other homeopaths like Luke the Shepherd, he says that in Agnus castus, patients needing Agnus castus, there is a disassociation between reality, and he says what he means by this disassociation is not because of going into a psychotic state or being schizophrenic, but it's more due to diminished vital force, or due to that weak body or very low vital force. And this is what Luke the Shepherd says. Whatever it may be, the main theme of Agnus castus is of a person who has indulged in a lot of sexual activity. So there's a lot of sexual activity to the point of perversion, and then what happens is it actually declines at the end of it. Or it could be used for a person who's sexually very, very active, and during an old age, by old age I mean around in their 40s or something, they marry somebody really, really young, like in their early 20s. I'm just giving you a case example, please. Okay? So an older man marrying a very young person. So if you, maybe 40s, maybe 50s, maybe 60s, I'm not, actually putting a figure to it. I'm just telling you, an older man who's had a lot of sexual experiences goes and marries somebody very young, and then he realizes that he's not capable of having sex anymore. So there is, just a breakdown. those are the kind of situations where Agnes works very, very well. Yeah, so you have that sexual perversion on one hand, sexual excesses on one hand, and this results in, as time passes, at a later stage when the person needs this medicine, is probably when we'll see them in their clinic, because they're not going to come to you when they're having a great life, having, you know, a lot of sex. They'll come to us only when they lose that power to have sex. Yeah, and that's when we see from the history that there's too much of activation of the sexual sphere, which has now resulted in a loss or decline of the sexual power, and maybe even a loss of joy or loss of vitality. Yeah, and as a result, the person might just feel absolutely empty inside, and you know, he might feel as though there's nothing to exist anymore. And that's wherein Luke the Shepherd's meaning of disassociation with reality would probably come in. Yeah. So these people are going to be, you know, low-spirited, melancholic. They could also have impotence. They're going to have, you know, the whole sexual organs can be relaxed. And this, I know I've been talking about the males, yeah, but you could use the same loss of sexual desire even in females, and you could use Agnus Castus even for that. Or you could also use Agnus Castus in people, whether male or female, where they do not like to have sex, where there's an aversion to caution. Yeah. You could also consider this in situations where there is some kind of hormonal imbalance, where there is suppression of the menses. Yes, so I've kind of mixed up the theme and the symptoms here. So I'm going to go on to the symptoms. Now, the symptoms of Agnus Castus, like I've been saying, it's excessive sexual desire leading to impotence. And you might find the patient also saying there's a feeling of coldness of the genitals, and the impotence may be as a result of sexual excesses. It could also be if they've been if they've had an acute condition like urethritis. Yeah. It's never been well since urethritis, or they've lost their sexual power after urethritis. It could also be after suppressed gonorrhea. This impotence can be from any one of these causes. And you could have impotence, but the person might still have a lot of sexual fantasies. They might have erotic dreams. These are people who might have premature ejaculation. Agnus Castus is good for premature ejaculation, and this premature ejaculation or loss of semen, I think I would rather rephrase it by saying, one is premature ejaculation, another thing is they might find that they have a loss of semen during stool, while walking. So in situations where there is nothing sexual, they might still lose semen. So these are the kind of situations where you would think of Agnus Castus for. So this is a remedy which you could think of in conditions of acute conditions of non-specific urethritis with impotence. Now, in the female, you could consider Agnus Castus, which is very good for as a galactagogue. That means where there's absence of milk, or milk stops, the amount of milk stops, it disappears, and suddenly disappears in a nursing woman. And this may be may have an etiology of grief or sadness or not. So if you see a situation where the milk has stopped, consider agnus castus. And the modalities for this is usually aggravation from motion and amelioration from rest. Remember that this person has got a very low vitality, so therefore they are going to be ameliorated by rest, and they're going to be aggravated by motion. Other than that, the patients are also going to be weak. They may appear anemic or may have anemia too. One of the characteristic sensations in agnus castus is it's a sensation of coldness, a feeling of coldness of the genitals, of the testes, and also a sensation as if their intestines are going to fall off or prolapse, and they want to support their abdomen. And the sensation of prolapse, this weakness and the coldness of genitals, or internal trembling and coldness, relaxation of the inner organs, is one of the characteristic symptoms of agnus castus. Another characteristic symptom of agnus castus is that they have a very strong ammoniacal odor. Their flatus, their eructations have a very ammoniacal odor.